Hello, everybody. This is Duke White. You're watching Real Life with Duke White, and today we are here. Well, first of all, we have, of course, we have Crystal Hollowell with us. Thank you, Crystal, for being here. Hello. She's always so sweet. And then, of course, we got Dallas Stanford, my man. Dallas, thanks for being with us.
What's up? Thank you for having me.
Well, thanks for inviting us here, because we're actually here at Penn Ministries, at the new Penn Ministries, where you guys are now going, 7 days a week now?
Here we're open 6 days a week, but
days a week.
we have a lot of services going on all those days.
Yeah, so what we're about to do is talk about something that's really near and dear to my heart, but it's actually his ministry because it's, as a pastor, as a man of God, we've always been called to take care of the homeless, or to take care of the poor, as the Bible says.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to be real, because this is Real Life with Duke White. It's something that I think has been handled very, very poorly. We do good at church, we do good at preaching, we do good at events, we do good at events. But as far as a consistently having something available for the homeless, for the poor, for the less fortunate, I've seen us drop the ball tremendously. And then you find out, I met you, about 10 years ago, and it's like a dream come true. So let's start with, how did Penn Ministry start?
Yeah, so Penn Ministry started in 2002. So my wife and I went to church, and the message was about, do you love poor people? And so we went home and prayed about it and thought, we don't. We don't know any poor people. We don't support any organizations that help poor people. So how could we say we love poor people? So we made some sandwiches and took them out to the ocean front of Virginia Beach, because honestly, we thought if we went down and told some homeless people we wanted to love them, they might think something wrong. So that just sounds weird. And so we decided that we would feed them. It's never been about the feeding. It's never been about the clothing. It's always been about loving people and let them know that they're loved. Because ultimately, you can tell people that God loves you, but unless you show that in a real way, it really lands hollow. So really, that's how it started. We went there. It was funny because the first time we gave them sandwiches, we hung out with them for 3 hours. And they were freaking out because they were looking at their watches what are these people still here? We've already eaten all the food. And ultimately, what we wanted to do is build a relationship with them. And so we got we at the end of it, there was 4 guys. We were like, hey, if we came back next week, would you all be there? And they said, yeah. And so this is what we talked about on the way home. We thought, man, we're going to grow old with these 4 guys. We'll just come out and meet these 4 guys every day, every Sunday, and then 30 years from now we'll have these 4 guys we're friends with. But then we came back the next Sunday and there were 8 people there, and then the next Sunday there were 12, and it just kept growing and growing and growing. So that's how it started, and that was in June of 2002.
That's so powerful, because it just shows really how I do truly believe that you were called to this ministry, not just to do it, but lead the way in it. You know what I mean? So you and your wife started the ministry with just feeding, and then how did you end up getting into clothing? And
okay, yeah, that's a cool story. So people would come to me and say Dallas, I think we should offer clothes, and I was like, good. Bring some clothes next week. And then we had people that's we should offer this, hygiene supplies. I was like, great, go get some soap and bring it next week. And so people stopped asking me things. And so really what I think that's a good way to put it, is that I wanted to give people the opportunity to do the things that God had already put on their heart. And so almost everything that we do other than starting the ministry was started by somebody else. And it really was people coming. I think we get caught up in this ideal that somebody has to invent something and then we'll do it, but God is inventing things in us all the time.
Right.
And so sometimes it's just that's where our ministry is. It's as we come together, we might do different things. And so Crystal's part of helping us out. She might come up with a brilliant idea, and then she can do it. And so
right.
So people don't tell me things because I'll tell them to do it. And so the thing God's gifted me at is how to bring things together and make them happen. But to me, the synergy is all of us working together to figure out how that's done. And my goal as the executive director here is to equip people. Because God's given us all abilities. Now, one thing I will say is sometimes in what you said, the church is lacking some areas, but the one thing I'll kind of correct you a little bit is I think we're all the church.
Yeah,
I think we
yeah,
get
yeah.
caught up in thinking the church is a building when it's
Yeah.
not. It's just a building. And so, like for me, I'm a Christian, and so even though I might not be in your church, we're brothers and
We're brothers and
sisters.
sisters,
And so
yeah.
the important thing though is that we need to. The one thing I think we as the church do a poor job of is like doing that, is reaching out to people. And so we need to be making sure. So like that question my wife and I asked each other, do you love poor people? I think that's a question all Christians should ask, and more
And
than
I think
once.
it's a hard question because we already, we would equate that question to being good and bad people.
Yeah.
So we always want to see, yeah, I love people. That's not the question. We ask, do you love poor people?
Yeah.
Like, and are you seeing that word love as an action, or because you can say you love anybody these days, and it doesn't have any weight to it.
Yeah.
And like you said, that love is an action.
I didn't know what I was missing. I think it was June of last year was my first day here. I redid the books, the clothing books, and I came in and just fell in love with it. I didn't know what I was missing, and I love pen ministry. Like you said, everybody has different talents, and everybody just works together and comes together, and that's what I absolutely love about it.
Yeah, and back to the whole loving thing, like when we first answer that question, this is the way we answered it. Like Jesus loved poor people,
Right.
and we follow Jesus, so we love poor people. That's like saying LeBron James is good at basketball. I watch LeBron James, so I'm good at basketball. It doesn't work.
It does
Unless,
seem like that.
and so I couldn't take credit for the things Jesus did. He's commanded me to do things,
Yeah.
and so I need to do them to prove that they are part of my life, and not
Yeah.
just take credit for the things he did.
Yeah, but this revelation got real serious because you were on like a 6-figure job.
Yes, I was. So
And,
so
yeah.
like I didn't want to start a ministry. I just wanted to be able to answer that question, do you love poor people? So I had a job at General Electric. I was making a very good salary. I had spent my entire life building what the world says is success.
Exactly.
Being 30 years old, making 6 figures, having hundreds of people that work for you. You feel like I've made it. At 31 years old, and then meeting Jesus, and then redefining that, and realizing that those financial things. And one of the things that really hit me personally is, like, you ever read an obituary? They very seldom say how much money they made.
Yeah.
They usually talk about their family and the things they've done in the world. They talk about where they volunteered and those kind of things. And those things are very important. So as I began to pray through those things, I realized that I was putting all my hope in things. And so initially
Was that a hard revelation to
Oh,
realize?
really hard. Like I spent 6 months trying to find somebody to run this ministry. And every time I talked to them about running the ministry, they go, that's what you do. And I would always so when you don't want to do something, you always tell people, like, you got to think outside the box.
Yeah.
And then finally, when the Lord convinced me I needed to do it, I didn't want to drag my family into it unless my wife wanted to come. So I told my wife that I feel the Lord calling me to leave my job and do this full time, but I won't do it until He convinces you. And so she was really like, security is important to her. And so, this was going to be unknown.
This place is remarkable. I love everybody in it. One big happy family, and they believe in God, and wanting to bring people in and help them get closer to Jesus. And they've helped me in ways even I never thought were possible. A pin means a lot. They've also taught me a lot. You can get clothing, hygiene, even medical attention if need be. Like, just come on in and just tell us what you need. We'll go out of our way to make sure you get it. And I'm eternally grateful for everything they've done to help me.
How do you know when you're effectively helping someone who's in a tough situation or homeless?
Yeah, that's a tough question because I don't even know if I have the answer to that. The hard thing is so it really boils down to a relationship, doesn't it? Like, when you get to know somebody, you start to learn the things that help them. And what happens is we want a quick fix. So we want to help somebody, and we want to get that good feeling we get inside, and then we don't want it to cost us much. And when I say cost us much, in our time. So, like, can I get this done? Can I get this done in 5 minutes? And so if I can get this 5-minute fix, I feel good about myself, I leave, everything's good. But life doesn't work that way. You know, you probably have good friends in your life that you help, but it's been built over a relationship. And you know when they feel bad because you spend time with them. And so if you really care a lot about somebody, you want to make sure that you get to know them. And that's the hard thing. That's building a relationship. And I think that's the thing we're oftentimes not willing to do.
Well, I want to give you that scenario.
Sure.
There's someone coming up to you and saying, "Hey, can I get $1?"
Yeah.
Like, what do you do in that
Yeah,
situation?
so I don't recommend you ever give somebody $1, and here's why. I think you know, when somebody's panhandling, so let's just call it what it is, because somebody's panhandling, they have a sign that says "We'll work for food," "God bless you." There's a reason they put that word on there, and so they're really marketing to you. They want you to give money, and you know why? Because they know you feel guilty. And why do you feel guilty? Because you haven't helped anybody. And you see them there, and what you do is you give them money, not for them, but for you, because you're selfish, because you have this feeling inside of guilt, and you want to eliminate the guilt. And so you hand them the money, and you don't even know what they're going to spend it on.
Yeah.
And so oftentimes people go, well, it's not my problem what they spend it on, but you just gave them money. You enabled them to get whatever it is they're going to get.
This is harsh, guys. And look, it hits me because I know that I've done that. I know that I did. I drive around in a car that says "Coming Soon Jesus" on it, and they love seeing me.
Oh yeah, as soon as they know you're a Christian, they're gonna give you that.
You gotta,
God bless you. And,
yeah.
oh, God bless you, brother.
Yeah, and so but the thing is that I get hit with it. I get hit with the guilt, and next thing I know, I'm scrambling for change because I only carry my card on me.
Yeah.
So I'm scrambling for change, and you know, and I sometimes I can almost see your face sometimes where either Chris will be like, hey, you know, that's probably not the best thing to do because you know you don't want to enable people. But
so let me share this with you. So do you know what minimum wage is in Virginia?
Is it $7?
$7.60 something, I
Yeah.
believe. And so after you take out taxes and all that stuff, how much of that money you think you get?
Maybe $4. Maybe
$4, $5, and you can make $200 a day panhandling. So why would you go to work? So oftentimes people hand people money and go, why don't you just get a job? I'm like, well, why don't you stop enabling them?
Yeah.
And so, and there might be some cases, a small amount of cases where people have gotten themselves in tough times, but most of the people that are there, they're there to make money. And they're to make money and they're marketing to you. And so for me, I always say you should never give money. And that doesn't mean do nothing.
Right.
Mind
And
you.
that's the key, yeah,
so
right.
so I'm telling you, don't give them money because you're doing it for selfish reasons, but it doesn't mean the answer to that is do nothing. And so what I recommend to people, what I do is I say put an envelope in your car, and whatever money you would have gave them to make yourself feel better, put it in the envelope. And once you get $20, you send it to a nonprofit organization that you believe in that helps
That's
homeless
so
people.
cool.
And then they'll use that money. We actually even have these cards that we give that you can give to homeless people and show them where the services are. So I'm like, you can put those dollars in your envelope, send us the money, give them a card and tell them this is where I gave the money. You can go help them. We had somebody who was a sponsor of our comedy night who gave the card to somebody and said, I sponsored this comedy night. I gave them $500, so go. They're going to use that money to help you, so go there. And so I think that's the harder thing.
Now, is this something that you learned the hard way?
I definitely have given people money in the past, and I have definitely seen that, but it really is something that once you get to know people, so I know homeless people, they've talked to, it's called when you hold a sign, it's called flying a sign. They talk to me about it. So like, I'll share a story with you. I talked to a guy one time, you know, if you were homeless tomorrow, would you go beg on a street corner? No. And the next day, no. But after a while, you're going to start feeling like because you're not going to do it the first time because you're going to be embarrassed. You're going to be ashamed. And so the first time somebody panhandles, it's hard. They're ashamed. They're embarrassed about their situation. They're afraid somebody might see them, so they don't go out there. And so when the first time they go out there, they lose some of their dignity. Right. And then eventually they lose more and more of their dignity, and eventually they don't care anymore. And so it's almost the same thing that happens with prostitution. Right. You know, the first time it's really shameful and stuff, but then the shame goes away and it just becomes what I do. Right. And so it's not a good thing. People have lost a lot of dignity by the time that they can go on a street corner and beg for money, and they've been there for years and years and years. Nobody's going to be homeless the first day and go panhandle.
Right.
They're going.
A lot of times people just tell me they're hungry, and that's when I'll buy them food. I don't give cash, but I buy food. And I've seen Duke actually take the coat off his jacket off his back and give it to the homeless and stuff out in the cold and stuff like that. But yeah, I agree.
It's about the
Not
relationship.
money.
It's about
Yeah.
more than just handing money. It's about asking,
Right.
what could I do for you?
So I want to do this. I want to take a load off somebody's back and say, hey, look, don't feel guilty if you don't feel comfortable, giving money and things like that. But that doesn't mean not do anything.
Yeah, that's not. Yeah, some people. I have people. They say this all the time. Like most of those people are professionals, have their own house, and they're out there. That's not true.
That's not
That's
true.
just something you say to make yourself feel good about
Yeah.
driving by. We really want to focus on giving the people the things they need to help them progress in their life. And so one of the things that can be difficult in helping people is wanting to do everything for them. What we want to do is enable people to do things for themselves, but before they get to that point, we need to help them with certain needs they have, like clothing, hygiene supplies, medical care. Those are all things that that Penn helps with. So Penn has 4 pillars. So our 4 pillars are housing. Housing is an important thing. Now the city spends a lot of money on housing, so we use our housing. We have a couple of houses. We use those for people in our job training program. The second is medical. We have a medical ministry, and medicine has become a political debate. Anytime you hear anything about medicine on the news, it's always about whether you're on the left or the right. It's a political argument. And so I think the problem is people are falling through the cracks. Like we're arguing about politics and people are falling through the cracks and they're not getting medical care they need. And so we have doctors and nurses that volunteer to help provide free medical care. Our third pillar is our job training program. It's to help people get back to work. I think one of the most effective ways to help somebody to get off the street is help them get a job, because if I have a job, I can pay for things.
Yeah.
And not just a low paying job, but how do I help them get a good job and get them stable? And so when they come into our program, we house them while they're in the program. Once they get a full-time job, and we just had a graduation last week and all of them are working full-time. So for the next 2 to 3 months, however long they need, they get to keep all their paycheck.
So you kind of help. You kind of help people get their dignity back.
Yeah, I
Because-
believe.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the thing is if I hand you something and you find this out when you have kids, like you give them things, they don't appreciate it, and then they move out. Like and like when my daughter got her first apartment, she said, "When they start charging for water?" And I'm like, "They've always charged for water," and she's like, "Well, I shouldn't use that much now."
Right.
And so now it makes sense because you earn it. And so there are things that we have that we make people earn. So we give them clothing and all these things, but if they want a backpack, they have to earn it. We had a guy that just came in here and said, "I want a backpack, but I can't do any volunteer work for it because I got a broke shoulder." And I was like, "No, you can do some help. You can roll up some silverware."
Yeah, that's
And so everybody's going to have to earn it. What he wanted me to say is, "You got a broke shoulder. I'm just going to give it to you." No, I'm not. You're going to still earn it, because the thing is, we used to just, when we started this ministry, and I didn't know this coming in, we used to hand out tents, and then people would be like, "My tent got broke. It got lost. Can I get another tent?" And I would just give them another tent. You know what happens when people earn things? They don't
take
get
care
broke.
of it. Yeah.
They don't get lost.
And not only that, I've seen
They don't get
like
broke.
when people ask for like a sleeping bag or a book bag or something, and I tell them they can volunteer to get it, they actually look excited about it. Because they feel like they're giving back and they're earning it. And most of the time, people are happy to volunteer to get those.
Yeah, because they want to give back to our ministry anyway, because I would tell you 95% of the people that come through our ministry appreciate the fact that we're there. And one of the cool things is, and Crystal's one of our volunteers here, one of the ways that we're able to use donations effectively, I'll look at the camera there, is because we have so many awesome volunteers.
Yeah.
Like when you go in there, it's a bunch of people that are volunteering and giving back. And so our staff is minimal. And so like 90% of our money goes directly to help homeless people. And we're able to do that through donations and through our awesome volunteers that come in and give their time. If I had to pay like Crystal and all these volunteers to do the jobs they do, it would be a lot of money. But
Right.
I know people that give to nonprofits, they don't want to, I see all the stats, they don't want to give to certain nonprofits that spend all their money on administration and stuff like that. So it's really personal to me to keep those things down low, so their money can go directly to help people.
Now, I do want to ask you about the way people see the homeless, and so because I hear terrible things sometimes, like, oh, they're just lazy, or they're just this, that, and that. What do you say to that, to the people that see things that way?
So it's kind of interesting. You walked in here today and saw somebody you knew from high school.
Right.
And so like people judge people and assume somebody is something because and they don't know. It's out of ignorance. It's no different than politics, don't we? We make certain assumptions about people based on their political standing, the color of their skin, and it's wrong. Because if we just get to know people, like I'm gonna tell you what, like all homeless people ain't dumb. They're smart, they have skills, they have abilities. Like our worship band is made up of all homeless people and former homeless people. And people go, oh, and I'm like, what do you mean, oh? They got talents, they got abilities. They're not, like, it's not like you ain't smart so you become homeless. Certain situations come up, but they got talent, they got abilities, and so sometimes people just need help.
Yeah.
And sometimes, and so that's what we want to be. We want to come alongside people, we want to help them and lift them up.
And there's a significance about this particular building. Like the first, was it $10,000? Was all raised by?
Yeah, the first $15,000 was raised by homeless people.
$15,000 was raised by homeless people to have this building.
Yeah, so we have a church service every Sunday for the homeless, and we take up an offering, and we used to we had an oatmeal jar because a homeless lady came to me and said, and she was formerly homeless. She's like, we're gonna have our building someday. The Lord told me, and we need to have the first money needs to come from people that are homeless. And I felt weird doing it, but I did. I put the oatmeal jar out there, and they put money in loyally for 9 years, and in 9 years we had $15,000. And so when we got into this building needed a lot of work. It needed basically it needed $127,000 worth of work because we had to build everything out, and I'm like I don't know how we're going to do this, and all we had is $15,000, but we ended up raising all the money in like 3 months, and it was the first $15,000 the homeless put in and so like I told them, like, here's the thing, you're invested in this is their building. Now, I've been given leadership of it, so they can't do anything they want to it, but they put in dimes and they put in quarters, and so they were part of this. And here, the same thing applies to when you earn something, you treat it differently.
Yeah.
They respect this building, and they respect the people in this building, and it's because they're part of it. So.
Now, as far as respect goes, like, what do you do when you deal with the homeless person that has some character? I don't say this, the attitude, man, the negative attitude, the grumpy, because I notice a lot of times people will use that personality as a reason why I don't give, or they'll say, oh, it's because of people like that. That's why they're in that situation. Yeah. What do you say to that?
So I'd say this. I'd invite somebody who says that to get 2 hours sleep, and in the 2 hours sleep in their backyard, and then get up. They're going to be grumpy. And so what I do is, the important thing is to understand and try to have empathy for people, and to empathize with the position they're in. This was probably about 6 years ago. I went to Texas, in Waco, Texas, and I did a poverty simulation where I lived homeless for the weekend. I couldn't do it here because homeless people would look out for me, but I could see just in 3 days, my attitude started to change. I was grumpier, I was hungry. Wow. And so I think what we have to do is we have to remember, and so I'll tell you, this is a funny story about this poverty simulation. There was we didn't have any money, and I was hungry. I was starting to get hungry, and so there was a lady who was like, a couple of ladies, they were trying to carry something upstairs. And so I said, hey, excuse me, can I help you carry that upstairs? And she's like, and I smelled bad and stuff, and I was dirty, and she's like, no, thank you. I was like, I just need a couple dollars. Could you help me out? And she took out some change and said, here, go away. And she gave me the change, and I took that change to a taco place and asked the lady, could she give us tacos? And we didn't have enough money for one taco, and she gave us like 6. And so, like, for me, it's understanding and being able to sympathize with that person. And if I can do something to bring joy into their life, I'm going to try to do that. Now, there are times when, I have to correct people, but I correct them out of love. If I bring somebody, we had somebody who was having an attitude problem here, and my staff brought it up to me. I brought him in the office and said, have I ever disrespected you? And he's like, no, Dallas, you always show me respect. And I go, then why do you disrespect me? Yeah. But I do that out of a relationship. You can't just do that. So you have to build a relationship so that you can talk to them.
One of my favorite things about being at Penn is talking to people and hearing their stories and getting to know them. And everybody has a story. Yeah. And almost everybody that I've come in contact with here has a good heart, and they have a story, and they don't want to be in the situation they're in. It's just, how
Yeah, and
things
the
happen.
funny thing is like on your street, there's probably 2 neighbors you don't hang out with, and there's a reason why. And if
Right.
all of our lives played out in front of everybody, it might look like what you see on the street.
Yeah.
And so it's just the problem is their life plays out in public. Because it plays out in public, you get to see it out in front of everybody. So there's a whole lot of people that are in their houses beating their family and yelling at them and getting
you just
drunk.
don't know
You
what's-
just don't know it
what's
because the
going on.
door's shut and they're doing it in their house. The homeless is just played out in public because they don't have a place to go.
Yeah. So we're going to take a break, and then we'll be back with Dallas Stamper.
Hi, this is Crystal again, and I'm here with Lindsay, another volunteer at Penn. And we just want to ask her a few questions to get to know her a little bit better. We're glad you're here with us. What do you like about it so far?
I really like interacting with the people. It's such a great way to get to know people that you might never interact with in other times. And I think I just learned so much from each of these people, and it's just a great place to just be in relationships with different people.
All right, well, thank you very much, and we're glad you're here with us.
Okay, so we're back with Dallas Stamper and Penn Ministries, and he's going to tell us how you guys can help. This is very serious. We want you guys to be involved. So I'll hand it over to Dallas.
Thank you. So I'm Dallas. So go to our website, www.pinministry.org, which is PIN and ministry altogether.org. And that's the best way to get involved. So you can do several things from there. You can find out volunteer opportunities. You can go and sign up for that. You can give us money. We can always use money. Our board actually matches every dollar leading up towards the end of the year. So if you want to give us some money, you can get that money doubled. And have a bigger impact, so that's always important. There's always things we need donated, like socks and shoes and stuff, and you can find out more about that up there. The second way is go to our Facebook. If you are on Facebook, and you can go ahead and follow our page. We're always giving updates on there videos and all kinds of good stuff. So go to our Facebook.
All right. All right, so we're out of time, guys. We got to go. But you will listen, guys. We're partnering with Penn Ministry, so you're going to hear about Penn Ministry all the time. We love these guys. This is part of the Christian culture that we wanted to share with you. So this is just the beginning. We're going to do several more interviews. You're going to find out some more information. I think we're going to do a do's and don'ts, type of situation, like show that we're going to get a lot of advice from Dallas on how we can be effective. But the best thing you can do right now is help Penn Ministries by going to their website. All right, so we're out of here. We love you guys. God bless.
Thank you.
You've been cooking, baking, and decorating. And even though 'tis the season to be jolly, your days seem to be filling up. During the hustle and bustle of the holidays, don't forget to give yourself and your loved ones a gift worth remembering. The memories, the photos, the laughs and tears as you stroll down memory lane to reminisce of old tales and remember those who have gone on. Each time we take a photograph, we capture a moment, no matter how big or small it may seem. And it's amazing how some moments that didn't seem like much before tend to have much more value when we later look back on them. The gift of love, the gift of memories, the gift of moments shared. Here at Lens Photography, we want to wish you a Merry Christmas because we care about what you care about.